It's that time of the week again where the latest spoilers and leaks for Bleach 1000 Year Blood War episode 32 have been released. Last week's episode had a lot of downtime where we caught up with the Shinigami, we had the reveal of Grimmjow returning at the very end of the episode, and Aizen had several notable scenes, of which include his Kuro Hitsugi release. Episode 31 adapted material from chapters 621 to 624, along with including material that wasn't adapted into earlier episodes, which featured characters like Kinpachi, the Vizards, and Mayuri. Episode 32, The Holy Newborn, sounds like it's going to be another incredible episode based upon all of the spoilers and leaks that have been released. So be sure to stick around until the very end of this video, as we'll be talking about how much manga material will be adapted into this week's episode of Bleach, as well as what the title for episode 33 is going to be. Also, we know exactly what chapter and page episode 32 is going to be ending on, so be sure to watch through the entirety of the video so that you know everything that there is to know about Bleach 1000 Year Blood War episode 32 before it releases on Saturday. Without further delay, let's dive into the leaks for Bleach episode 32, The Holy Newborn. We got really tired of the same old boring anime shirts, so we decided to launch Getsuga.com with the aim of creating designs inspired by our favorite anime and manga. We came up with designs that look cool and represent all of our favorite stories. Check out the latest Instinct collection, which features some amazing designs like this Frosted Heavens design inspired by Toshiro Hitsugaya, or this Instinct design inspired by Hollow Ichigo, and my personal favorite, which is the Heart design, which was inspired by Ukiura Shifa. Do not miss out, go to Getsuga.com and wear your favorite stories. So let's start by going over all of the information released over on the Bleach anime website for episode 32. So as always, we have 5 preview images which have been released, along with this story synopsis and this brief staff listing here. So the story synopsis states that the Shinigami, attempting to regroup and launch a counterattack against the Quincy, watch as the landscape of the Invisible Empire, which has been covering the Serete, begins to peel away and rise into the sky. Meanwhile, Ichigo reunites with Neliel and Grimmjow, with whom he fought fierce battles with in the past. Joining them are the Fullbringers Riruka and Yukio. They're determined to launch a surprise attack on Yhwach as Ichigo and his friends set off once more towards the royal palace. So it's really interesting. From this story synopsis, they've already revealed that Neliel is going to be appearing in the episode, along with Riruka and Yukio, and the other key piece of information is that the remains of the Invisible Empire within the Serete is now rising up into the sky, which is an indication that Yhwach is going to be replacing the royal palace with his fortress called Varvelt. So in terms of the staff on this episode, the script is done by Masaki Hiramatsu as always, with the storyboard and episode direction being done by Shinichiro Ueda. Now, Ueda has previously worked on Core 2 and Core 1, as he was the episode director for episode 7, along with being the episode director and storyboarder for episodes 17 and 25 of Core 2. So it does seem like this week's episode is once again in very safe hands. Another great piece of news is that Zhongji Huang is returning as animation director for episode 32. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, he was the animation director for episode 30, and he had done a fantastic job with his work on that episode, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he has to offer in episode 32. We also have the 5 preview images which have been released, and the first image is of Grimmjow, and from the background we can tell that he is within the royal palace. The second preview image, they have actually revealed Neliel, who's going to be featuring in the episode, and she also appears to be in the royal palace. So both Grimmjow and Neliel will be with Ichigo's group, who are revealed in the third preview image. So that's Ichigo, Ganju, Chad, Orihime, and Yoruichi here. The fourth preview image is of Urahara holding this orb, and this orb is where all of the Shinigami are channeling their Reiatsu into in order to help create the gate to the royal palace. Now, the fifth and final preview image for episode 32 is this shot of Hashward here, and this is presumably him kneeling before Yhwach, who has just finished absorbing the Soul King and is about to reshape the royal palace. So this week's episode of Bleach is going to pick up with where we had left off with the arrival of Grimmjow. Before Grimmjow and Ichigo can battle, Neliel of course will intervene as she makes her appearance, and she reveals that Urahara had created a device for her which allows her to freely transform from her adult and child self. Okay, in rapid succession, after after Naliel appears, we of course have the reveal of Riruka and Yukio returning to the story, as Yoruichi explains the plan for them to return to the royal palace. Now, if this chapter is adapted faithfully from the manga, then this will be the first in-canon appearance of the Valley of Screams, which had featured within Bleach Movie 1, so that's definitely going to be something to look forward to in episode 32. Another thing to look forward to is whether if the material that was cut from earlier episodes from chapters 625 and 626 is whether if this downtime with the shoot Starfall where they are sat on sofas and talking is going to be adapted into this week's episode. So this week we're going to properly see Yhwach having absorbed the Soul King and demonstrating some of his new power, as Hashwald states that he will reinvent their nation, and then we see this image here from the end of chapter 626, which we know is going to be in episode 32, and this is where the fragments of the invisible empire rise from the Serete up into the sky. Yhwach is reshaping the entirety of the royal palace into his new fortress called Vaharvelt. Now, while Ichigo and the others are also traveling up to the royal palace, Urahara and the Shinigami have completed their gate, and they too are also beginning their journey. So material from the beginning of chapter 628 features the Shinigami arriving within the royal palace, but they notice an unexpected landscape as the royal palace has been completely transformed. There are some comedic moments here featuring Yushiro's character, so I do wonder whether if this is going to be adapted or cut from episode 32, and the manga content continues with the Shinigami stating that they are going to begin their counterattack against the Quincy, but not without Urahara commenting that the situation is very suspicious because it's as if the Quincy are inviting them to come in, like the entire situation is a setup. Following this, we cut to Hashwald and Yhwach, as Yhwach states that the fortress of Vaharvelt will be where the foundation for a new world will be laid. So the episode is going to be wrapping up with content from the very beginning of chapter 629, so this is where the Schutzstaffel are kneeling before Yhwach, as Hashwald states the name of Yhwach's castle to the Schutzstaffel members, as we then cut to the credits. Now, episode 33 is revealed to be titled Gate of the Sun, and this is named after chapter 629. So last week's episode, we had Mayuri release the Reiatsu amplification device during a brief montage scene, but we didn't have any of this dialogue from chapter 617. But according to the leaks, it seems like this dialogue is going to be adapted into episode 32. The leaks also state that key animation will be handled by Studio Daisy and not Pyro Films for this episode. But this isn't a bad thing, as apparently the episode still looks really beautiful and it has vibes from the old school Bleach 2004 anime. Episode 32 has also been hyped to have the best soundtrack out of all of the episodes so far, because apparently a lot of old school soundtrack from the 2004 anime will be featuring in this episode. So the preview at the end of episode 32 will feature a poem which is for Renji's character. If you remember from the opening song, we had these visuals of Renji. Now this artwork here is actually taken from the cover for Bleach Volume 73, where Renji is on the cover, and the poem for episode 33, Gate of the Sun, is from the cover of volume 73. Yeah, from the opening we see Renji here raising his hand out to the air, and then he's screaming out here with a bloodied face. Now this is stuff that wasn't within the manga, and I'm just puzzled as to what on earth this could be. Just what exactly is he going through? I really am looking forward to seeing what additions are going to be made with Renji's character in next week's episode. But for now, what are your thoughts about the leaks and spoilers for Bleach 1000 Year Blood War episode 32? There's a lot of old school characters returning in this episode, with Neliel, Riruka and Yukio appearing, and not to forget Grimmjow, who has a very fun interaction with Ichigo. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of this material is going to be handled within the anime. What are your thoughts about all of the manga material that will be adapted into episode 32? So episode 32 will adapt content from page 1 of chapter 625 all the way up until page 2 of chapter 629. Let me know your thoughts about the latest spoilers and leaks. Be sure to continue the discussion in the comments, and lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I cannot wait to see you on Saturday for my review of Bleach 1000 Year Blood War episode 32.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.